despite what their moms told them. They just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot. And really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Wednesday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe. At Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the militia. Live on X Spaces for the final segment of each show. The Orange hang on by a thread, overcoming a late surge by Cornell the other night, Tuesday, 81-70. Sorry we couldn't be here yesterday, but we're here today. So you'll hear from us.
Just so you know, to help
we'll hear from you
out.
and fan feedback. And Syracuse heads to Georgetown to take on the Hoyas this Saturday morning. Your Saturday morning cartoons will be interrupted by Syracuse at Georgetown at 11:30 in the morning, which is another just head scratcher. What's up, Joe?
I was just going to say, because I know it's been a long week, and I know that you kind of want it to be over, but, you said happy Wednesday. I just want you to know it is Thursday.
Well,
so
there you go.
We only have one day. Don't give an extra work day out for us. Come on, we don't need it.
Well, feels like it should be easily Friday. I'm not sure why I said Wednesday, actually.
I think we normally do it on Tuesday or Wednesday.
A day ahead, not a day behind. Anyways, look. The Cornell game, we'll have a quick little montage put together, and let's go ahead and get into that. And then we'll touch on Georgetown. And then we have not talked about the formal introduction of Coach Brown, Fran the Man, and with his presser the other day, and we can finish with that. And I'm sure the way the football news is going, that will continue to be the focus of Syracuse sports for, an indefinite amount of time. At this point, I don't know. It just seems like every week there's something new. So he was at the Cornell game. Didn't say much. Said what he needed to said and walked off. He already said everything he needed to say, and we'll talk about it. But first, let's hear what Coach Red had to say following the game.
All right, guys. That was a game that we expected, up and down. I thought our defense, for the most part, was, pretty good. I mean, just looking at how many three-pointers they shoot, we held them under 1 that they normally make, average 10, but we held them to 9. I thought, a team that was averaging 85, 88 points, and I've seen them play the last couple of years. That's what they do. They score points. For our defense to, hold them to 70, right at 70. In the last couple of possessions, we just fell asleep. But this is a good offensive team. But I was proud of our guys because it got close, and they buckled down, and we got some big stops when we needed to. And then we made some big baskets when we needed to. I thought everyone that stepped into the game today contributed. Thought Quadia Copeland had some big free throws at the end. Thought J.J. Stalling hit a big-time shot, even though he wasn't playing well for most of the game offensively. I thought that was a big-time shot, and obviously Judah, he led the charge. And so Malik Brown, I thought everyone that stepped into this game, Kyle Cuff just gave great effort. That's a hard team to play, experienced team. So I was just proud of our guys. They really stuck with it, and it could have turned out differently, but they didn't. So that's just things that we got to keep building on. Our defense is improving. Again, offensively they switched things up. We had to try to figure some things out, and then when Judah went out, obviously he's a key to what we do. We kind of got out of sorts, and JJ wasn't playing particularly well, finishing around the basket. So when he made his drives, but he has to stay aggressive. We need him to be aggressive. And I thought JT made some big drives late, and Chris Bell, he made some big threes in the second half. Just ran out a little gas at the end, But, we can't play against a team like this when you're tired because they're very good and they're conditioned. They've subbing constantly. So, we had to make that adjustment. And I thought Quadir came in for defensive adjustments at the end, and I thought that worked out for us. Questions?
Red, how come we didn't see Benny Williams tonight?
Tonight I just played the guys that I thought could help us at this game. This is a particularly hard game, so I just played the guys that I thought could help us win.
Adrian, what went in the decision to go with Copeland at the end of the game?
A defense. I thought, once we had Judah back in the game, and Malik was on the boards, and JT made looked like he was getting to the basket and getting his shots up. I just thought we needed another defender out there at that time, and so, I kind of went with that. For JJ, just, be JJ. Keep playing. Don't worry about it. No one is perfect. No one plays 30 great games, all right? But, again, tonight I thought he made a big-time shot. He doesn't make that shot, this game could be different. So, I think that's what really good players do, and he's a really good player, and that was a big-time shot. So we needed it.
All right, let's start off real quick with kind of the game flow, Joe. Obviously, a lead kind of dwindling towards the end of the half, and, Syracuse really, I thought, with the way Cornell was shooting, I thought they did a good job. The game kind of went like what Coach said. It went about the way you kind of expected. We knew this team was good, a good shooting team. Got a lot of guys that can handle the ball and make shots, and they tried like hell. 9 for 33 for 27%. Syracuse, if Syracuse isn't as hot as they are, if Judah is not as hot as he is from 3, 5, I think that's a career high for him. It's 5 threes in the game. 5 for 7. It's amazing. 13 to 32 for the team. 40% from behind the arc. And, Justin Taylor did his part, and Chris Bell is kind of getting into that niche as far as Chris Bell goes. And, I mean, if he's doing that, then I feel like this team's extremely difficult to beat when you got him and Judah in there. And then, Judah goes out. I think he was out for like 8 minutes or something like that. And,
7, something like that. Yep.
Coach was waiting for the 4-minute mark, and he barely got there before the lead was dwindled down to 6 at one point. And, Judah comes in there and he makes a huge difference. They throw Copeland into the mix at the end, and just the energy and the effort and just everything having to do with him was tremendous. And, I'll say that I thought Malik Brown had more steals. The dude poked out more balls in one game than I think I can ever remember in my life. So he's constantly getting clean pokes in every game. But this game, really, I thought, he's coming from behind, surprising people. He's like Houdini.
Yeah.
Houdini
and they got
out
to
there.
be clean, man, because, sometimes I was just like, he was doing it so much, it was like I was waiting for somebody to, like, call foul.
Yeah,
and nobody ever does.
Right. Because he's just right on it, and he just times it perfectly. I mean, that's a tremendous skill to have, to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And to Houdini someone from behind, it's another skill. It's like you didn't even hear him coming. So I mean, what he does on the floor, just the numbers aren't always jumping out at you. I mean, 12 rebounds is a number that jumps out, but obviously, right? But
right.
With what he does on the floor, just being as disruptive as he is, and the same thing I think goes for Copeland with his 6 points, and he had 6 rebounds too, all defensive, and so and 3 steals for Copeland, and then with Bell with the blocks. I mean, there was a couple blocks he chased down. It was just so. I mean, just the way that they played defense. I know it's just Cornell, right? But the way that they played defense against this team is just extremely disruptive. And I know that you get into certain games against certain teams and the matchups are different and things can be more intimidating, but you see what they can do. Because, I mean, let's be honest. It's Cornell, but they're probably going to finish first in the Ivy League this year. They're a good team, and they can shoot. They have the skill to shoot. They just they couldn't get it. They couldn't get it quite going. They got it going good enough a few times to really make our butts pucker a little bit.
Yeah,
but
get it close.
At the end of the day, it just Judah coming in at the end with Copeland in the defense there, and like Coach said, one more thing I'll just touch on. I know everybody's really hard on JJ Starling, but he does hit a huge shot from behind the arc during that run of Colgate, or to really end that run of Cornell's. That was momentum changing. And from there, it was just all Cornell's body language. You could see it just crumble. I mean, that's how I saw it. So, all in all, it's a W. It's chalk. Joe, you and I talk is chalk up to this point, and that's fine. It is supposed to be what it's supposed to be. You talk about the 3 losses, all difficult teams, all ranked teams, and not at the time with UVA's sake, but still, a lot to be, I think there's a lot to like about this team, and watch these guys grow, and especially JJ coming into his own. And, Coach, one more thing. I'm sorry. I said one more thing 5 minutes ago. Chance Westry, they're talking maybe hopefully a month or so, maybe, hoping for that, and fingers crossed on it. No guarantees, but, at least we're talking about some kind of timeline. And to get him back, in a month is not as good as 2 weeks, but the dynamic of this team could change. I think he's going to probably have, there's going to be a learning curve there for him. He's going to have to get back into the rhythm, and we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how long it actually takes. But just another positive note on the horizon as far as, cohesiveness gets with the team and the talent on the team, period.
Well, yeah. And I mean, obviously there's going to be a point in time where we're going to need something like that, because obviously a team like Cornell, right? Like, and Coach spoke about it, I think on Cuse Nation, I think today or something. But, Naheem McLeod against teams like this where they got smaller big men that like to step out and hit threes, not the greatest matchup. So we saw it happen, and that's why, Malik Brown got 28 minutes. But again, when you get it, it's just when it comes all together. I mean, Malik Brown had 7 offensive rebounds out of the 12 rebounds. Looking at Chris Bell, he did more than score. He had 4 blocks, like you alluded to, 3 rebounds. Justin Taylor had 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 15. I mean, he led the team with assists and had 15 points. And obviously,
he had a tremendous game.
Yeah, Judah with the 28. And I think that Starling and Copeland both made, plays that you're not going to see in the box score, and some clutch plays like you alluded to with JJ Starling hitting the shots. It was a good game. I think I always follow teams like this, like, the Cornells and the Colgates, teams from our non-conference schedule. I'm going to keep an eye out on Gonzaga and Tennessee and those kind of things. So, as we go on throughout the season, there'll be, I don't want to say monthly, or I don't want to give it any type of, timeline, but we'll talk about how good Cornell and Colgate and some of these teams are doing in their non-conference, just so that people can understand that these type of games.
Cornell was a quad 2 win right now, by the way.
Yeah.
So
at home.
Well, it's a quad 2 win. Yeah. It's at home.
But usually at home, a team like this would be a quad 3 or a quad 4 game, right?
A game of, you mean away? Well, right. But if this was away, it would still be just so you guys know. Even if this is an away game, if this is at Cornell, it'll be a quad 1 game. Because it was at home, it was a quad 2 game. Sorry. Right. Just to clarify.
So, and we're getting to the point now, when non-conference is close to being over. So, like I said, big win. We had a lead, thought that we were playing really good, but they weren't hitting shots. Started hitting shots, got it within 3 before the half. And then we came back out and kind of took the game again. And then Judah got in foul trouble, like you spoke about, sat somewhere between 6 to 8 minutes. And I thought, it was kudos to the team without
being able to
Judah
keep it together,
to be able to keep it there. Obviously they came close to coming back and, things like that. But we still kept the lead, and we hit the clutch, timely shots when we needed them to. And then when got to a certain point, Judah came in and closed the game out, and obviously Chris Bell and Taylor, shot well from 8 of 18 combined from the 3 with them. If you take away Judah Mintz's 5 of 7, so overall, like I said, good win. 9 blocks and 9 steals as a team, I think is really good. Still think that, we need to get a little bit better with they let them play. It was a physical game, so, we didn't really get to the line as much as we normally do. 1 rebounds. I think to me it's just, and we even won turnovers, so I'm cool with it, but there's still just some unforced turnovers, just some bad turnovers I don't want to see. We're playing against a team that's got good defense, and their defense turns us over. Okay, I get it, but, being fancy and having it just go out of bounds or passing it to the other team, when they're in the there's a couple sloppy ones. So I'd like to see that cleaned up.
Sloppy
and then
passes I saw. Yeah.
Right. And then obviously as we get into ACC play against bigger teams, we're going to need somebody other than, Brown and McLeod to step up. And not necessarily in the center spot. It's just, to me personally, in a perfect world, we need some type of power forward / small forward type guy like a Benny Williams or a Chance Westry to figure it out. So whether, I don't know what's going to happen first, Chance comes back or Benny figures it out.
Well, just transition to the next point. You heard Coach. Benny's been kind of had the spotlight on him and for no good reasons. I should say there's nothing, does not have the spotlight on him because he's out there on the court, impressing everybody. It was missing a little bit last year, Joe. It was this year out. It was suspended. It was a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. It's turned into no minutes because Coach, in his own words, said that he was going to play the guys that thought could win this game. Well, if Benny can't help win a game against Cornell, how's he going to help win a game against the slated ACC schedule? And the body language on the sidelines is this was written about. It's no secret, right? The body language on the sidelines is less than great. If I'm a coach, I don't even want that on the sideline. I don't care. It's a discussion to have with the team and Benny himself. But if that's how it's going to look, he didn't even seem to be cheering on the team. There was he was kind of emotionless, and he almost seemed like he was just bored. Like he didn't even want to be there. So why make him be there if that's the case? I don't know. I expect this to either get way better or it's over. And one or the other needs to happen sooner than later, because at some point this just becomes a total distraction.
Yeah. Well, what they say sometimes, the bad apple spoils the bunch. And I'm not trying to say, like I said, he could have something going on. We don't know. He could have some family issues. He could have some academic issues, some personal life issues. I don't think Coach saying, I wanted to play the players that are going to help us win. I don't necessarily think he's only talking about talent, So when you say, if he can't help Cornell, I don't think it's because he's not good enough to go in and play Cornell. It's is he there mentally? And from everything that I've read on social media about his body language, how he went through just the warm-ups to on the bench and seeing him just sitting there. Like he was just staring off into space, and players are coming in, out, and people on the teammate and coaches are high-fiving him, good job, and he's just sitting there. And same thing with big plays. People stand up, cheer. Someone hits a three, he's just sitting there. So, again, it's a bad look. It's obvious.
It's obvious that he doesn't want to be there, to me.
Because it's to a point now where everyone's looking at it. You can't tell me that 75% of the fans are noticing or looking for it. No, because I know I look at energy on the bench and things like that. I like to see there was one
point that we talked about Benny being that guy on the bench, even though he wasn't out there getting all the minutes all the time. That was actually, being a team player and looking like, at least he had that at one point, and now it's like not even that's there. It's just, I'm not trying to, who knows?
We're not trying to bash the kid.
No, I'm not bashing him. I'm just telling you, but the reality is the reality. Everybody sees it. Let's not pretend like we don't all see the same thing. So, right. A talented kid, don't know what's going on. And, sometimes the room's too crowded. and, the cream rises to the top. And with that said, I mean, maybe it's just a struggle for him to get minutes. Maybe, the talent that's there is just better than what he's been showing coach in practice. Because not only that, but I mean, we haven't seen a ton of action that has been impressive, not even close to a consistent level since he's been here. And had high hopes for Benny, like Benny. We used to talk a lot about Benny. We used to be Benny apologists back in the day when we were wondering why he's never gotten consistent minutes. There's something to that.
Yeah.
And
now this is two coaches too, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the one thing I heard, listening to Cuse Nation riding into work today. Yesterday's version, he's like, this is two people now. Everybody, they were talking about kind of what we talked about last episode about all the comments about people saying that Benny should be playing more and this and that. And, he's like, college basketball, he said college basketball coaches are smarter than any fan caller that's calling in and talking about how Benny should be playing more minutes. Right. And and a lot of it, I think, like I said, it's to me, it's just, that's kind of how, people say they don't want to be judged and all that other stuff. And there's all first impressions and all that kind of stuff. But if I were to go into work every day and not want to talk to anybody or work with anybody or be a team player, and in that I create some type of bad culture, toxic culture within my workplace, then I'm getting fired at some point. I'm getting talked to at some point, and I'm either going to have that option of I'm going to change my attitude and be a team player and do what I need to do for the team to win, or I'm going to get fired. And obviously you can't get fired, but you can get benched. And nobody wants to get benched. So,
right. No one wants to.
And you watched Quadir Copeland last year. I mean, he didn't get a lot of burn at all. And he was he was awesome on the sideline.
He's the one I was thinking of, dude. Forgive me. Yeah. You're right. That's the one I was thinking of. He was an amazing cheerleader on the sidelines. He still is. I mean,
and guess what? That's being a team player, doing what you can do, regardless if you're in a position that you're not. Like you said, cream rises to the top. Sometimes the room's too full. Well, that's fine, but then find your role. If you only get 5 minutes a game, and your role is to keep everyone upbeat on the damn bench, so that every time the people that are out on the court make a play and they look over and they see their whole team cheering and getting them going, firing them up. Then yeah, dude, that's part of a team. That is them playing their role. And then someday, now he's playing 15 minutes a game, right? And there's somebody else on the bench cheering, and they go through roles. And if it's just a situation where you think that you should be starting and playing 30 minutes a game, and you're going to act like that if you don't. But again, I don't want to presume, because there could also be other things going on in his personal life. So at the end of the day, like you said, it's just something that's got to change, because it's just a bad look. And now everyone's looking for it.
Yeah. No, everybody's looking for it. All eyes are on him. Now he's under a microscope. Now you've got, we're even talking about people tweeting about stuff during warm-ups. So, it's a kind of, if we're spread that thin as far as the analysis goes, then obviously there was an Syracuse.com article written about it. Of course, I couldn't read it. I read the first paragraph. That was about it. Anyways, we, like I said, either it's going to get really good really quick, or something else has got to happen. I don't know what. I ain't the coach. I don't know what's going on. So I just hope that, at some point this changes, because I just don't feel like it's good. It's not only not a good look, like you said, it could bring morale down. You get one, I manage about 40 something dudes. You get a couple dudes with a bad attitude, and that shit spreads like terminal cancer. I mean, it's bad. It can be bad real quick. That's not something you can let linger. That's not something you can let go. That's something you need to fix, and fix it immediately. And it's the same thing, if not more dramatic, with a sports team, no matter who it is. That's just not, it's a total distraction, and it's not something that can be tolerated nor accepted, which is one and the same. All right.
Which is probably why I didn't play.
Probably. The all-time series between the Orange and the Hoyas sits at 53-45 in favor of Syracuse. The teams have been trading wins every year since 2018. Syracuse with the W last year, 83-64 in Homeboys' Patrick Ewing's last game against Syracuse anyway, after letting him go. So 83-64, I said? Yes, correct. That's correct. Mintz, Gerard, Edwards, Bell, and Williams. Speaking of Williams, you're starting 5. Edwards with 20 points, 11 rebounds. And Mintz with 10 assists. Syracuse and Georgetown would finish their Big East rival with fitting 36-36 record against each other. The two teams met each other 14 times in the Big East tournament and split those games 7-7. How crazy is that? This is according to orangehoops.org, these little fun facts here. Syracuse had 4 5-game winning streaks against Georgetown. The Hoyas had a 6-game and a 5-game winning streak against the Orange. Again, orangehoops.org. Georgetown, they're currently sitting at 5-3 after getting robbed by a missed call against TCU at the buzzer. Since that, they've been able to sit there and rest and ponder upon what could have been in that game and wait for this Syracuse Orange to come into town. And like I mentioned, it's a weird time, 11:30 on Saturday. So in the absence of Mr. Patrick Ewing, this team's now led by former Providence coach Ed Cooley. And, you know, they've got some, again, like I alluded to against when I watched the TCU game. I mean, they got some shooters on this team, man, and they've got 5 players averaging double digits and scoring. They're led by Jaden Epps, who's averaged 19.1 points a game. So he's also leading the team in assists with 3, and his 3-point shooting percentage is 46.2. So they got some other guys here that can throw it on. By the way, if you throw Rowan Brumbaugh into this mix, you almost got 6 guys averaging double digits a game. So he's at 9.4. But you got Dontrez Styles at 16.4, Ishmael Massoud at 12.5, Supreme Cook, that's a killer name, at 10.9, Jay Heath at 10.1. And then the aforementioned Rowan Brumbaugh. As a team, they're shooting 45.9% from the free throw line, or from the floor, 68.3% from the free throw line, and 39% overall from 3. So, you know, this Jaden Epps, I think we faced last year, right? Did we?
No,
we did not.
No.
Okay.
Jay Heath. And,
he's from
Wayne
Illinois.
Bristol.
He's from Illinois, Jaden Epps.
Yeah, Jaden Epps, sophomore from Illinois transfer, yep.
Okay.
And he's also from Norfolk, Virginia, your neck of the woods.
Maybe that's why the name sounds familiar, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, no, they thing is with this team is that they just got, I don't know if you mentioned Ismail Massoud.
I did. You weren't listening?
No, I wasn't. So Ishmael Massoud, 6'9" transfer from K-State. He has only been back for 2 games. And in those 2 games, he's averaging 31 minutes, 12.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 1.5 steals, and 3 blocks, shooting 3-pointers at 40% as a 6'9" forward. So that's the guy that came back. They just beat TCU. And
asterisk. No, they lost against TCU.
Okay, sorry, they lost.
But there's an asterisk on the loss.
Oh yes, they should have won the game. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But Epps had 24, Massoud had 16 with 10 rebounds. So I mean, this team with Massoud in full health, I don't know if they lose their 2 earlier games. They're probably a better team than they were earlier in the season, as like obviously having a 5-3 record. If they were,
you're talking about Holy Cross and Rutgers, those 2 losses. I mean, yeah. Holy Cross was a 1-point loss, by the way.
Yeah. So I mean, you're talking about a team that really only goes 6-7 deep, and I mean, I think pace is going to be a big thing for us. But this team has got 3 seniors and a junior in their starting lineup, and Ishmael Massoud coming off the bench as a senior. So they're an older team, and realistically, like I said, Supreme Cook, He's a first-year transfer from Fairfield. Jaden Epps is a first-year transfer from Illinois. Dontrez Styles is a first-year transfer from UNC, and Masood's a first-year transfer from K-State. So Cooley came in. He hit the transfer portal, and he's always played with a tough mindset. I think he's a perfect coach for Georgetown, and it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game for sure. They got shooters. They shot 48% from the three against TCU. Going to be a tough one, man. I know we got some good guys. I think that's where Judah's from that area, so we got some players that are from that area that are going to have family. And obviously you have still the, Syracuse-Georgetown rivalry in which Adrian Autry played in. A lot of our coaches played in it. So, and we have been playing them for the last couple years. So overall, I don't think it's going to be an easy win. When I really broke it down, it made me a lot more nervous than I was previously, because I do see that they're a different team than previous as far as against Holy Cross and Rutgers. So should have a better record if they were fully healthy in the beginning of the year, and this game scares the crap out of me.
Well, I mean, I wasn't going to go all there with it, but I don't know if it's a great matchup for us, and I'm a little nervous, but it didn't scare the crap out of me until just now. So I mean, it's not. I mean, look,
okay, this is what it was. Is that I talked to some people that I feel are pretty knowledgeable when it comes to like college basketball, and a couple of people said, that they suck, this is that, or they lost. They saw them lose to the Rutgers or Holy Cross or whatever. Like, okay, but I did talk to one person that said, they looked damn good against TCU and they should have won that game. And TCU's undefeated. So, and then you look at their lineup and they got their 6'9" guys can shoot threes. So that doesn't bode well for Naheem McLeod being out there. I don't know so much Supreme Cook, but only really good thing I see with that is that, Malik Brown is probably going to be playing a lot more minutes, and at least these big guys that they have, they max out at 6'9", so at least that's something that, Malik can handle. And, Bristol and Styles and those guys, Heath and Epps are the same size as our guards. Styles and Bristol, same size as Bell and Taylor, and Copeland. So as far as size goes, I think that we match up well. I just don't know how well we'll be able to take advantage of Naheem McLeod's size, especially if Masood's in there, because he can shoot threes.
I'm not like super sold on McLeod's abilities quite yet. Anyway.
Well, no. I mean, especially if he has to step out and shoot the three, though. Or not shoot the three. If he has to step out and defend the three, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be a good test, and we all freaking hate Georgetown. So that one's going to suck to lose. And I don't know how else to put it, but, maybe Syracuse comes out and on fire. They're going to have to shoot. That's the thing.
I mean, dude, I'm not putting this team on the level of Virginia, Gonzaga, Tennessee,
I understand
right?
that. No, but let's be honest.
But I think they're better than LSU.
Okay, fair. They're better than Colgate, and they're better than Cornell.
Probably.
Okay. So there we go. All right. Let's talk Fran Brown. All right, so Fran Brown was officially introduced to the Syracuse community. What day was that, Joe? Was that Monday?
Yep.
Was it Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yes, that's right. It was Monday at 10 o'clock. He sat with John Wildhack, and they had a nice little presser. And, there was very little that I actually saw in Fran Brown before, going and watching that and sitting down for whatever the hour or whatever it was. And, I liked what I saw and I liked what I read, and we all know about the recruiting stuff and all of that seems to still be the only thing that I hear, and kind of really wanted to just take a little bit of time just to go in a different direction, maybe. And Joe, I don't know. I haven't heard anybody else talk about him. You listen to the podcast, the other podcast shows out there. I do not. Mm-hmm. But, you still hear a lot of recruiting stuff. We know about the recruiting, but for me, like, the recruiting is a surface level thing for Fran Brown. I think there's so much more to Coach Brown that comes along with, and I think the recruiting thing is a bonus because he just who he is and how he communicates, and he doesn't mince words. He seems like a high character guy. He doesn't need anything. He knows what he wants to do. And he talked a lot about things that for me indicate, like I said, a high character guy. He's not promising anything right away. But my God, you look at what's been just the players that have been hitting the portal. And Joe, you could talk a little bit about some of the recruits that are going to be making their way into Syracuse, and bringing Elijah Robinson in, and the other names there. What's the guy's name from is he the D-line coach from Colorado? Bringing
Nick Williams
him in,
or something like that.
Yeah, and he talked about just like on Elijah Robinson. He doesn't. And he tells you straight up. He's like, look, be lucky if he's here for 3 years, because he's head coach material. I know, which is this. See, the whole thing's like, to even get this guy to begin with is amazing, because Texas A&M was wanting him to. They were at least talking about, right, having him just become head coach after being interim head coach after Jimbo Fisher was gone. So.
Well, there was chirps of that, and then they hired Mike Elko, right?
Okay.
So,
well,
but
he obviously is a guy that had the potential, right? And I'm sure that he's going to use Syracuse as a launching point for getting that type of job somewhere, and that's fine, whatever. As long as I think there's some consistency at head coach. A guy like Fran Brown, unlike Adino Babers, I think, has more relationship. Look, I don't know. It seems like he has more relationships to bring other people in. Like, he could backfill fairly easy. So when you talk about bringing coaches in that might use this as a launching pad to go other places, which is no surprise to Coach Brown because he's been talking about it, I think maybe backfilling and having that those roles filled with quality coaches isn't as big of a deal. Well, right, you do.
We got early signing day coming up, right?
This is a different kind of guy, though.
Oh, absolutely.
This is totally different.
Absolutely.
And
he's throwing darts.
Yeah, he's got the DART acronym going, and which I love. And he's got, like I said, he doesn't mince words. He put everybody on notice, including
everybody,
fans, alumni, the press, which I love, like
the university.
I don't, we don't have to go in, and I think he's going to be more of a straight shooter. So, Joe, a point that you made that I love is that we, being through the changes that we've been with basketball and now football. The whole open to the show is Coach Babers and Coach Boeheim and like contemplating changing this. And I said, well, we need sound bites, Joe. We need sound bites. Well, guess what? The pressers maybe, Fran the man, might make pressers great again, because I can't wait for him to get in there. And he seems like the kind of guy that's not going to put up with any shit from these little hack media talking heads.
Dude.
And, he's going to go in there, guns blazing if he's got to. And he does it in a way where it's just like real soft spoken. He doesn't seem like he's going to get angry. He's just going to tell you how it is. And if he wants to pull an Elon Musk and say, go yourself, then, it might come down to that. It might be really
I think he's just going to, like he said, look, if you take what I say out of context and you go print that without, asking me for context, he's like, I probably won't talk to you again, right? That's what he said to the media. So, he's a straight shooter, and I see a situation where, like, if you're gonna just take his words and run with it and print whatever you want, which hey, look, you can do it if you want to. It's your choice, but you could possibly lose access to him. So, I loved his introduction because, like you said, put everyone on notice. He seems like a guy that he knows the investment that he needs. He called out the fans and he said, if you're a fan, then you got to be a fan. You got to invest. So if you're a fan that wants a championship caliber team, then you need to put in a championship type investment, not a 6-6 investment, you know. And I think he said the same thing to the alumni. He's like, I need you here. I need you at the practices. He's like, you know, I'd love your money, but I need you here more than I need your money.
I want your money too.
No, he said that as well too, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he's basically coming from a point where he don't want to hear it if you're not willing to help, because we're in the day and age now where as fans and as community
you can make
and as
change.
Alumni and donor, you can make it happen because other schools are making it happen, right? I mean, hell, Texas A&M fans from Texas A&M, NIL from Texas A&M came up with $76 million to get Jimbo Fisher out of there. So don't tell me it ain't an age of money, right?
By the way, just real quick, Joe, I'm sorry. The how much was that? Say that again.
$76 million.
Holy cow. Okay. Well, the Orange United goal, and I was a little saddened by this. The Orange United goal is at 500,000. Now,
that's only one though, right?
Yes, I know that's going to be the big one though. That's the one. I mean, it's a social media platform. I'm in there.
Well, it is, and Tory Ball has now got an actual position with the university. He was part of the team or the committee that they put together to find the next head coach. And Fran Brown thanked him during the press conference as well. So. Good on Tory Ball, you know, an alumni that stepped up and started pushing that NIL. I know that people like Tyler and people like all that, you know, they're starting to do that. But again, we didn't start when everyone else did, so we're a little bit behind. But that was really, really what I liked more than anything about his, because you know me, like, just do your damn job, accountability, right? And he said, if the alumni,
it's the A in Dart, by the way.
Yep, right. It's A in Dart. Detailed, accountability, relentlessness, toughness, and that makes sense to me. So
that builds a man right there.
And he even called out the alumni, right? He said, "Come to the practices, come do this. You got an open door. I'll take constructive criticism. You can tell me anything you want." He gave the invitation right then and there, right there. But he also said that if you don't help and invest and come and try to be a part of it, then he don't want to hear anything. So that's really the biggest thing that I got from him is he basically put everyone on notice, and I'm sure that he's had the conversations with John Wildhack, and now it's up to everyone else to basically come through on their promises. So we're still in a wait and see mode, but the way that he came out and the way that he put his foot in the door and introduced himself, I mean, I'm cool with it.
The thing about him is the genuineness of how he communicates. There's no script to him. I mean, he could go on. I mean, that press conference could have been 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he could go on and on and on and on. And you know, he stole a couple of the same stories over and over again. But he was on ACC PM too, and with Packard and what's her name there? Forget her damn name, Tenenbaum. But he was great there too, and he's just straight up, and you just hope that translates into what you think it's going to translate into, because I think everybody can read into it and see that this guy's pretty special. And he said straight up that when my daughter's 13, he's done. he says that's it.
Oh yeah.
But look, I'm just saying. I mean, he's a straight shooter. He's a straight shooter. He's going to tell you how it is. And the kids these days need that, because he's not going to put up with any shit. You want to talk about, he didn't really call out the kids or anything like that, but that he's that kind of guy. It's not going to fly.
And he comes from a program that you can't allow
discipline,
that. Right. So, I mean, yeah, that's just where he comes from. And also, too, he's also got that. He's got a similar background when he talks about, religion and being a man and a husband, a father,
similar to Dino.
Talking about being similar to Dino, being a leader of men. So I don't think he's really going to have a huge problem retaining a lot of the players on the roster, unless there's just not a spot for his vision. Because I think that main basic, thought process of being a leader of men and growing and helping this young man grow into the leader and the man that they need to be, because football's not going to be forever, right? Like, I felt that same vibe from him. But again, the only thing with me, and like I said, I'm a Dino guy, but I like straight up. I'd rather you straight up me than bullshit me and lull me to sleep with, metaphors and
Movie
riddles,
lines.
right? Yeah. So, I mean, and that's not a shot at Dino. That's just saying that this is what impressed me from this guy, Another thing.
Go ahead. I'm just going to say we saw Dino only get aggravated with the media, like through the past couple of pressers. Like he kind of let them almost have their way to a certain extent. This like there was not a ton of pushback, and you got to sometimes. You can't develop these personal relationships with these people either all the time because they're just going to eat you up, and you're not gonna get. First of all, from on the media end of things, you're not always going to get the questions asked that need to be asked that the fans want to know. So it should be more of a media coach relationship, traditional one, where right. They're asking tough questions, and he's going to either give the answers or tell you to go kick rocks. And I'm down for that. On top of
the fact that come on, I mean, realistically, when you're talking about local media, and media and always wanting to be first. Right, with the story. If it's any story worth the shit, if it's any story worth the shit, Pete Thamel at ESPN's getting it before any of y'all. So we don't need to worry about that. All right.
That's big Boomer's pick for the best media guy for Syracuse, by the way.
Who?
Pete Thamel? Yeah.
That's probably because he went to school with Wildhack or worked with him.
Yeah, he's right, exactly. But they did a top 100.
He knew Dino was fired before his players knew.
I know. So that, I mean, it was impressive, man. Like I said, going into that presser, I hadn't listened to a ton of Fran Brown speaking. I still don't know a ton about him. And he was like, look, on ACCPM, he was like, look, you talk about Orange family. Well, I just got here. I don't even know anybody.
Yeah.
We're not family yet. Like, I need to work on that. We need to work on that. Like, that stuff, it's so true. Everybody's just like, yeah, bam, bam. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, let's be realistic here. This is how it works. And he doesn't play any of that fake bull crap, that you see a lot. You know what I mean? Like, there's no man hiding behind the curtain type thing. It's just, it's just him.
Yeah.
And
and to go with that too, it's a situation too where he, the other thing I like was what he spoke about the fact, because there was a lot of people that talked about, he hasn't been a head coach, hasn't been a coordinator.
Oh,
well,
right.
I like how he jumped right in and he was like, look, I haven't been a coordinator because I haven't wanted to be a coordinator. I want to be involved and have a relationship with everyone on the team. I don't want to be cornered off to, this third or this half of the team to be a defensive coordinator. He said he always wanted to be a head coach. That's why he went to Georgia to learn from Kirby Smart, and he spoke about stories to Kirby about making him sit in the front of the class, just like he's going to try to obviously talk about making his students do in their classes. But he's wanted to be a head coach. He didn't want to be a coordinator. So when he stepped in, when there was a question that was the Wild Hack, and he stepped in and spoke on that, that was another thing that really, really, that story impressed me. The fact that, yeah, I could have been a coordinator. So let's pump the brakes there.
Yeah, and you and I spoke on that. So into a negative effect to some extent, right? Like this guy hasn't even been a coordinator yet. How's he going to be a head coach? And he said as much. He's like, look, we're going to have to throw shit at a wall and see what sticks.
But I'm just saying, when you get a coach like that gets announced as our head coach and you've never heard of him before, and then you start going down the accolades, then that's what you're going to initially think as a fan, right? Well, Wild Hack said it needed to have someone with head coach or coordinator experience, and here we are getting the defensive secondary coach at Georgia. He hadn't even been a coordinator. That's normally the initial reaction, right? Until you actually start going down, you get to meet the guy. And again, I mean, like I said, talk about selling yourself. Like I said, I mean, I'm not saying that he was BSing either. I'm not saying he wasn't being himself, but it was because he was himself and he came off as so authentic and so I'm holding everyone accountable and so real that it actually, I think, it hit me harder, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's the same thing with me. And that that question was directed to Wild Hack about, you said that, you wanted to have someone with head coaching experience in, like you said, Fran jumped, he jumped that route and answered the question, even though it was directed at Wild Hack, because you could tell he was kind of chomping at the bit for that one. He was waiting for an opportunity there, but I'm impressed. You try not to get too excited all the time. I'm so used to getting excited and then getting dumped on my head. So, I do reserve some of that, but there is some 4-star guys coming here. There's some Texas A&M portal entrances, and don't know if that has anything to do with Elijah Robinson or whatever. You kind of have to believe maybe a little bit whether they come here or not, right? That too, but whether they come here or not, it obviously has something to do probably with Elijah Robinson to some degree. Whether they go somewhere else or here, they left there. So, it's going to be it's probably going to be the most interesting offseason for any Syracuse sport that I can remember, I think, in my lifetime, to watch this thing develop. It's going to be constantly newsworthy, and kind of looking forward to it. And you guys know how I feel about the offseason. Like, I couldn't give a crap, And, we had just finished our, 7th football season.
Yeah.
And, it's been rough a couple years for football, a little bit here and there. And
nothing like the COVID year.
It's nothing like the COVID year, but it helps to maybe have something like this going on heading into another season, especially when you have an unknown coach and he's this charismatic and interesting. I mean, you could have some. Who knows?
Well, and two, I mean, I want to give a heads up too. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily Wild Hack. I mean, that we've been obviously.
I still don't care about that.
I mean, I get it, but I'm just saying we've talked about what needs to happen from the university. We've talked about what needs to happen by the fans and the community and that kind of stuff. It is an NIL game, so there's certain places where we all got to step up, but. Kind of kudos on this hire, though, if you think about it, because when you look at our last couple coaches, I mean minus, you take away Greg Robinson and how he destroyed our program, him and whoever the AD was at that point, I forget exactly what his name was. At least I try to forget. But when we brought in Marone, like he came from the NFL. He wasn't coming from a place of like recruiting. He wasn't. Not saying he didn't have relationships. All football coaches and all these players, they have relationships where they come through high school and college and everything that they do with networking. But he was in the NFL. He wasn't in the now of recruiting. Came for 4 years. He went ahead and got another NFL job. I don't know what exactly went on with him. Then we go on and we pretty much just go with Scott Schaefer because we wanted to keep it kind of the same, right? And he was assistant on the team. And then we were like, okay, we're going to get Dino Babers, right? But he came from the MAC, and he built himself up. But how many players could he have brought from Bowling Green that could have helped us, right? Or the MAC, and where was he ranked in recruiting and everything like that? This is like a completely different strategy if you think about it. Right, it's like we're stepping away, and that's one thing I think that so many people think it's got to be the status quo. Well, he's got to have head coaching experience, he's got to have coordinator experience, but now this guy's putting together a team of, him and Elijah Robinson are top 5 ranked coordinators, right? And okay, they play for the SEC, so I get it, but that means that they are in the backyard of the most talented high schools in the country. That they have relationships and they've been recruiting. I mean, you recruit years ahead, right? So they've already talked to 2024 recruits, 2025 recruits, 2026 recruits. They have relationships and stuff like that. And then obviously Nick Williams, he was ranked in the top 25. So you're bringing in young guys.
Relatable
that can recruit, and they have these relationships with these high school staffs and these talented players all around the country. So now we have a situation where we got a coach coming from Colorado, a coach coming from Texas A&M, a coach coming from Georgia. And we're like, okay, yeah, they don't have experience. But look at already, he just got announced on Monday. We have 6 4-stars officially visiting this weekend that are 2024. Some of them are already verbally committed to other teams. How many times in the last couple of years, signing day, early signing day, all of a sudden, oh, well, signing day, our top 2-3 best players get flipped to some other school. It's happened, I would think, 3 years in a row.
Yeah, I was going to say every year.
Every year. And now all of a sudden it's looking like funny. Because, I mean, hey, knock, knock, early signing days in December, right? So, like, it's looking to me like we're setting ourselves up to be the ones where these players are flipping too. I mean, some of these guys that are verbally committed, you got a receiver from New Jersey, from Camden, where Fran Brown is. He's a 4-star receiver. And he's he's verbally committed to Texas A&M, which that's where Elijah Robinson's coming from, right? All of a sudden, he's taking an official visit to Syracuse. Another receiver, 4-star receiver, that's he's verbally committed to Stanford. Now, all of a sudden, he's from New Jersey. All of a sudden, he's taking an official visit to Syracuse. There's a defensive end that had Colorado and Florida State and some other team in their top 3. And then all of a sudden, defensive lineman coach Nick Williams going to Syracuse. And now all of a sudden, he's got Syracuse in his top 3 with Colorado and Florida State. It's been a week. You know, he's got Will Muschamp's son, who's the defensive coordinator for Georgia. He's a 3-star quarterback verbally committed to Vanderbilt. He's taking an official visit to Syracuse. So, and I've seen different things with Texas A&M. I saw one Texas A&M D lineman that has already been rumored to be following Elijah Robinson and coming to Syracuse, even though Elijah Robinson made it very, very clear that he is not recruiting his players until the season's over and they go into the transfer portal. But, I mean, you are already seeing something different. Now, whether or not we're going to be able to have the NIL money and some of the things to retain them, then that's a different story, right? But the energy in the beginning and just within a week is kind of crazy.
In just play devil's advocate, I think that's expected when you have this type of caliber of recruiters that are joining your team, because obviously they had guys in the queue, and those guys, there's several guys in their queue that were strictly going to whatever school because of them, right? So I think it's pretty reasonable that some of this happens, but to the degree that it is, you can make an argument that, it's on a higher scale than what it would normally be. And
I'd say.
So, I just want to say though, in regards to the NIL stuff, like, look, you guys can go to orangeunited.com. You can even get yourself a little package. Okay. You can do as little as $100 a year and, join the community there. It's basically like another social media platform, first of all, but it's just Syracuse fans. And, it is a good place to, I think it's a really cool little space. But besides that, you can join the NIL and earmark where you want your money to go. And you get a little package or some meet and greet stuff and a voucher for the store and things like that. I mean, look,
access to stories and certain things.
Yeah. Written content that you can only get probably there. Who knows? But it's well worth it if you're a huge fan or a fan and you want to see change. Be part of the change. So, like Fran says, which is what we said when this Orange United thing first came out was, now's the time to put your money where your mouth is. If you're not going to freaking donate to this, then, you can't bitch. And, Fran Brown comes in and says the same freaking thing.
Same thing that we've been saying.
So, you've got to have, and then I saw one comment that was, and I just refrained myself from getting nasty because it doesn't work. First time for everything. So I there was a guy who said, he commented on somebody's post that I seen, and it was something along the lines of, I think it was New Magician's post, but he posted something along the lines of, I want to see how this off season of recruiting goes, and maybe next year I'll do it. Well, dude, just freaking do it. You could donate $10 if you want. You can do a couple months worth of like $10.99 or whatever the hell it is, or just do $100. If everybody did freaking $20, they'd be loaded. Do $100. I mean, 'tis the season. Join the community over at Orange United. I think it's great. I had no idea that it was what it is. until I got the app. And I was like, oh, there's a freaking app for this? So I get into the app.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a feed. People are commenting.
Yeah, I saw the feeds and like followers, and there's I mean, it's like a community. I mean, you can network. There's things there that that make it worth it to me. I mean, I think that there's a lot of things that people out there spend $11 a month or over on. That is probably a little. This is worth it.
This isn't frivolous. This isn't frivolous spending. I mean,
right.
it's really not. $100 for the year for something like this.
Well, look,
if you're a big fan, is a drop in the bucket. Let's be honest.
The coach laid it out. He said, "This is what my plan is." He laid it out to Wild Hack and all that stuff. But no doubt about it, when he came out and he spoke, he basically said that we ain't going to be a championship caliber team if we're getting a 6-6 type of investment from alumni, donors, fans, and the university.
All of it.
And so he understands even that, I got a plan, but I need some of these other things to work and fall in line so that I can actually execute my plan. Otherwise, we might be in the same situation. So. And,
my eyes on the quarterback situation still. I know that we've had a little bit of conversations about this, and some people think that it's good to go, but that's where my eyes are on that situation currently. So,
again, like what Matt Rule said, it takes $1 to $2 million to get a quarterback now if you want one worth of shit out of the transfer portal.
Yeah, they're talking about Riley Leonard going for 1.5. So, I mean, think about that.
Yeah, to Notre Dame, right? Yeah, I heard from Mike McAllister today that they're talking about Kyle McCord for Ohio State, talking about $1.5 million to go to Nebraska. Just randomly is where Matt Rule.
That is just astronomically high within the past couple of years to get from the starting point of this whole thing to $1.5 million for a quarterback is just.
I know,
absurd.
dude. But all it takes is a handful of teams to be willing to do it, dude.
I know. Well, once they start doing it, now you've set the price point. And once the price point is set, just like the economy in general, and once the price point is set, and if that's what you want luxury, you're going to pay for luxury, period.
No, like I said, players, they gotta be careful. And I think there's going to be some players that learn the hard way. We spoke about some of these players, just, from our experience as Syracuse fans, some of these guys that left last year that didn't really get the playing time that they possibly would have gotten, that they definitely would have gotten here, but they probably didn't. They probably thought they're going to get more at the new schools, right? So, obviously, the grass isn't always greener, and obviously, if you only got 10 teams that are willing to pay over $1 million or can only pay over $1 million, but you got 25 quarterbacks in the portal demanding it, then some people are going to be a little upset, or they're not going to make the cut, or some people might be left out if you ask for too much. So
our good buddy Nadal sitting on hold. Nadal, unmute yourself if you'd like to speak. There he is.
Hey guys, what's up?
What's up, man?
What's going on, bud?
Well, I'm going to keep it short because I'm on call and I'm driving home. But question for you guys, is Coach Brown going to be a better football coach, a better recruiter, or a better coach of the community for NIL?
Yes. Look, this dude could sell sand to a dude living in the desert, bro. I mean, I'm sold. I'm not like doing backflips and setting expectations, but what he is going to do for the community to get, I will bet you that the fans that we see hoarding into the dome next year is going to be, we're not going to have a lot of discussions about the fans coming into the dome for the football games. I don't think that is going to be a huge issue once people see how this guy operates. He's talking about going into the community and doing these things and rallying the community to get to know him and what he's about and get these people to the dome. And, that's a little something that's been missing to a certain extent. And, getting back to winning ways. He's talking about bringing back, look, this dude speaks my language, bro. I mean, this is like talking about Donovan Darius and Donovan McNabb and Dwight
George
Freeney.
DeLeon.
Yeah,
Paul Pasqualoni.
Yeah, that's my childhood. I mean, So it's like
it's what we grew up watching too. He's around our same age. So
right, he's just a few years younger than me, and it's just to hear that and have that be his benchmark. I mean, I don't know. I'm hopeful. And, growing up in the late 90s and mid to late 90s with all that stuff and those teams and those players was when we've talked about it here, how special those times were for fans and the team alike. So yeah. I think he gets asses in the seats. Too. And I think that, we see a surge of asses in the seats, and I think we see a long-awaited, long-missed excitement around Syracuse football that we've really missed we're going on over 20 years of it. When it comes down to the real core of it, right? I'm not talking about 1-10-3 season going to a Camping World Bowl. I'm talking about the Paul Pasqualoni, Donovan McNabb days that he speaks of. That was the first college football game he ever went to, and he uses that as his focal point for what he wants to do here. Bring it back to that. Look, does he do it? I don't know, but like I said,
I think he knows how to, and I think Nadal actually hit all the spots in that damn comment because. Realistically, I think that he knows that he's going to need the community in the NIL and obviously, alumni in university. That goes without saying. But he's going to need that and need that support to be able to get the NIL up so that they can get the recruiting. We already know that they can recruit, but we also know today is a day of NIL. And there are plenty of players already in the day of NIL that have said, Coach, I like you better and I wish I could come here, but this school is offering us this. And I know that it's not college football, but Jesse Edwards for basketball, that's pretty much exactly what that situation was. And then when you get the Jimmies and Joes, then the X's and O's get a little bit easier. And I think he's going to surround himself with good coordinators and good people that can help them get the game plan because he's seen it done at good universities. So realistically, you need all those things, but I think that he knows that he needs to do all those things. And I don't think that he is going to allow, his effort, his personal effort is not going to be the reason why he is not successful at Syracuse. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's true. Nadal, go ahead.
That makes sense. Yeah, no. So, I think that's probably why this is a genius hire because I think he was so persuasive to Wildhack that he was like, this guy's going to persuade the entire community to go or to get around the team. And maybe that's more important than
yeah, but I think he's going to hold the Wildhack accountable to what he promised too. So
he better, seriously.
Yeah, and I think there was promises made. I don't think you get another guy in here, if you don't make some promises and decide to make football or sports in general, a real focal point of the school. Back to being what it was at in the old days. But like I said, but
not to bring it to basketball, but losing Jesse was the biggest fumble ever.
Yep.
Ever. So we got to stop this from happening. Maybe it starts with football.
Yeah, and I haven't seen many.
Dude, I said it yesterday. All it takes is one millionaire. If I was a millionaire, there was an alumni in Syracuse, just one fan.
Well, they have them. They have them.
Okay.
They're all donating to the Lally Center. So
screw that, dude.
What I said.
If I was a millionaire, Jesse would be on Syracuse's team right now. Because I would have paid that shit up to have him on this roster.
We
couldn't find one person.
Yeah, we couldn't lobby someone.
Not one nothing. Mello, come on.
Somebody, something. Did they try? That brings us to that question. Did they try?
Right.
That's not. It's not on the list of priorities right now. Let's get back to. Don't make me start. Don't start me down that list.
No.
So, anyways, I appreciate Nadal. Look, I don't really.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you, man. Nadal's a good dude.
Yes, sir. Good night, Nadal.
So, look, I don't have much else to say. I really wanted to come here yesterday, and there was no way I was going to be able to do it. I just ran out of time, and not to poo-poo the game against Cornell and all of that, and some of the things that surrounded that game, but I really wanted to get on here and as fresh as possible discuss Fran the Man, because after watching the presser, I was extremely hopeful but excited, And like I said, I'm not going to set expectations, but it's going to be an extremely interesting offseason for Syracuse football. And look, like Joe said, it ain't going to be for lack of effort. So.
No. And the thing is that, I mean, you get something so early with its excitement with all these recruiters coming from Colorado, Texas A&M, Georgia, then we could pull some of these guys, right? And we could maybe bring some talent in. And like we said, we have a very manageable, favorable schedule next year.
Yeah, that's another thing that bodes well for this whole situation.
So it's almost like, again, when you look at the timing, it's like, okay, we have this. If they can pull some rabbits out of their hats and get some more talented players to come in and fill in that depth and retain the talent we have, and then go against this manageable schedule, almost like a Louisville this year had a very manageable schedule. And then within this year, grow your NIL and have a good season next year, then you're building the momentum to something that maybe, we do actually start going towards, the early 90 days. But the timing right now is perfect. So,
yeah, I just got a comment. I think it's important enough to address on here. I think it's relevant, and feel like we need to at least touch on this before we sign off for the night. At David Super on Twitter, our buddy David. How much do I need to donate to abolish the stand and clap bullshit? Look, I don't know, but I'm down. If you need something from me, if we can get a price on that, and we can eliminate that whole obnoxious tradition of distracting your own team while they're trying to score.
Distracting your own team while tiring out your own fans, making them bored.
And then they do the opposite of what they're supposed to do after they're scored, which is sit on their hands.
Exactly.
Look, this tradition is about the most backwards ass tradition that I think I've ever seen in my life. And I just wonder if maybe there was a Georgetown fan that was a mole inside the Syracuse community at one point that came up with this idea, and now it's just caught on like wildfire. And here we are to this day having to watch it, or participate in it. Because if you don't participate in it at the Dome, for crying out loud, you're just an asshole.
No, stand up.
Yeah,
stand
come
up,
on, man. It's like if you don't stand for the national anthem, for crying out loud. I mean, you get me a price.
Why? So we're to sit here and clap for 6 straight minutes and then sit down and then it's quiet for the next 15.
Dude, I remember one time it was like 8 minutes, and I was just I was at home watching the game. I was cringing. I'm like, oh my god, just make a shot, because the clapping is just like, you can tell people are just getting so tired. Oh my gosh.
And we don't even do it well. Like, it's not like
it's not super loud
at all. Like, it's like people go different speeds and it's like clap, clap, and then it becomes this whole thing. And it's like, I want to know what other fans think about this. Like, do other fans sit there and laugh? Like, do other fans that have never played us, like, they're at the Dome and they're sitting there like, why are they up and clapping?
Doing? What are they clapping for?
Doing all this, putting all this pressure on their team to make the first shot. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are they doing?
Why don't you just throw shit on the court while you're at it?
Right. Right. I don't know. I don't know, bro. Like, it makes no sense to me. But to what David was saying, though, look, I'd rather the money go to players first. Let our team get good, and then we'll talk about getting rid of that.
I think
you would think that, like, students or somebody at some point
would come up with something different.
Yeah.
Well, John Wildhack's a master producer.
Oh, yeah. The producer and programmer of ESPN. Yeah.
So he's probably got something up his sleeve. Maybe he can maybe he can hire a committee and they'll figure something out for him.
What? Oh, they had a scoreboard.
Oh, the scoreboard, yes. I mean, that thing's beautiful. Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think hopefully the 5G doesn't melt people's brains in there. I don't know what the hell's going on with that.
I don't even think they have it yet.
I thought they did. Yeah, I think they did.
Really? I heard that it was a situation where they still didn't have it, or it still wasn't figured out.
I kid. Anyway, I'm not about the clapping thing. I kid about some of the other stuff. Just some of it.
Some of the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyways, it's fun to joke about that. David always got something zany to say, and we love it. So, anyways, look, I appreciate all of you for tuning in and listening to this hot garbage. And, I appreciate especially everybody who's popped into the spaces, even if you were there just for a couple minutes. Okay, we appreciate you. And if you're still there right now, we appreciate you. Get over to orangeunited.com and freaking donate something. Don't be such a Grinch. Don't be such a Scrooge. Do it. Do it now. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.